Hi everybody, this is part 2 of my F3 camera overview, and it's mainly to show you the MD-4 motor drive which I've recently purchased. But first of all I just want to finish off a few things on the F3 camera. The first thing is an error I made in the first video, which was the flash sync speed. Because when the camera is set to the X setting on the shutter dial, you can actually get 1/80th of a second sync speed with a dedicated flash unit. The other feature I omitted altogether was the viewfinder illumination switch, which is this small dot here. It's not very well implemented, but it is a feature that works, and basically when the meter is active, if you press in this red button, it illuminates the viewfinder inside, and you can see that light from the outside. I think I'll be able to show it you actually on the inside. Very difficult to get in line. And it lights it up obviously so you can see the shutter readout in the viewfinder when it's dark or very dim. It's very difficult to operate, and for example, if you are actually composing a shot, so you're looking through the viewfinder, you've got your finger on the halfway on the shutter, and then you're trying to find this little button to light up the display. It's very difficult to find, and you really need to press it with a fingernail to make it work correctly, otherwise it tends to flicker and blink. So there you go. It's a feature that's there, but it's not very well implemented, I'm afraid. So moving on to the drive, so it's the MD-4, which is a nice chunk of metal, very heavy, especially with the batteries fitted. And I'm going to show you how it operates with the F3 and its features and functions. And first of all I'll show you where the batteries go. You've got a little release button here which you press, releases the battery compartment, and it takes 8 AA batteries, and it's best to fit alkaline. You get the most use out of the motor drive then. As to minimum you would get 60 rolls of 36 exposure films, but with these alkaline batteries you can get up to 140. And the fire rate in continuous mode is 4 frames per second. Now you do need a shutter speed of 1/25th of a second to get that fire rate, of course. Slower speeds will decrease that, and if you fit rechargeable or non-alkaline batteries you'll get less frame rate as well. You can also fit an additional Nikon battery pack to this, which can give you up to 6 frames per second. It's called an MN2. That's an optional accessory for this. So I'll show you how it fits to the F3. At the bottom of the F3 you've got a little cover here for the electrical contacts, because when this motor drive connects to the camera it actually powers the meter as well as advancing the film. And in fact you could remove the batteries from the camera itself and just use the batteries from the motor drive. The other thing to note is, of course, that when you're fitting or removing this drive you don't want a film inside the camera, because it does let light through this hole when it's removed. I'll just show you that. So if you take off this cover, it's best to use an aluminium coin so it doesn't scratch it. Just take off this cover. That's all the electrical contacts, but you'll see if I open the camera back that with that removed you've got a hole goes right through the base of the camera. So if you had a film in even without opening the back, of course. If you remove or fit this drive, even with the film fitted, it's going to let some light go through there. So that's something to be aware of. I will say as well, when you remove this cover that's gone flying over the table, there's a nice little slot in this battery compartment where this pops in. You can just pop that in there and holds it in place, and you can later remove it by just pulling on that little switch there. That's a nice little feature. So the battery compartment just slots in, clicks into place, and you can check the batteries. There's a little button here, press that in, and if both LEDs light, you've got sufficient power in the batteries for operating it at the full frame rate. If only one of the lights lights up, it means the batteries are low, and you will get reduced firing rate. So looking at the top plate here of the drive, I just point out what the different things are. Here are the electrical contacts for the drive to the camera. You've got the locking nut connection, which connects to the tripod socket on the base of the camera. This is the actual drive unit itself for advancing the film. And you have a little button here that when you rewind the film, that actually pushes up the rewind button on the bottom of the camera. And this is a locating lug for securing it. It just locates it for securing it in the bottom of the camera. Got a nice little rubber button here which stops it marking the camera as well. So I'll fit it to the camera. So the best way to do it, I always do it this way around. So I always locate the locating pin first into the little hole in the bottom of the camera, and then it's easy to push the rest on, and then you just simply turn the wheel on the drive clockwise, just keep tightening it up, and it's then fitted securely to the camera. You see it makes it a very chunky unit, but it's very well balanced, and you can actually fit longer length lenses with this drive fitted, and it will still stay upright, and that's a lot to do with the shape they've put on the bottom of the winder. Obviously it suits the F3 quite well. It does make it a very heavy unit, but it does feel good. The grip's very nice, even if you're shooting vertically, and it just seems to make the camera operate very well. It does sound very nice, which I'll show you shortly. I'll just set the shutter speed manually to 1/125th of a second. So the drive's fitted, and one thing what you can do is you do have a frame counter on the drive, and what a lot of people do is with the film inserter, say if it's a 36 exposure film, you turn this wheel until it's on 36, showing in the counter, and then as you take each shot it will actually decrease that counter on the drive, and when it gets to 0 it will then stop you firing any more shots on the drive. So it's a nice little feature. It's very useful, of course, if it's very cold. I mean extremely cold, because if it gets to the end of the film without that feature, it may break the film because of the extreme cold. Now normally it will stop, and I would say in most cases it will stop anyway without using that counter. You can use it, you just leave that on the orange dot, and it will just keep firing away, but when it reaches the end of the film it feels the tension and will stop operating anyway and light at one of the lights to let you know. So it's just in extreme cold you would use the frame counter, and also you can use the frame counter for bursts. so you may want to take a sudden burst at 4 frames, so you could set that to 4 and fire the 4 frames off, knowing that it will automatically stop in continuous mode rather than keep overrunning. Set that back to the normal shooting. So you can actually still operate the shutter release on the camera while the drive is fitted, but I'll show you operating with the motor drive button. So set to S for continuous. Now first obviously it needs to get to frame 1 before your metering is working correctly on the F3, as I mentioned before. So as it's set up, and you can take your frames, obviously focus in, and say very nice grip, makes a nice sound, makes a little light, it advances the film. That's in single mode. In continuous, set it to C, and then obviously just hold the release button down. Very nice sound. Soon use a roll of film. You can see just already I'm up to 23 on the frame counter. So you can keep doing that, and say at the end of the film it will stop automatically, and then to rewind it will light up a light to show you that the end of the film has come. To rewind the film, you press in this is the R1 button first, you press that in, slide it across, and then push up the R2, and it's now rewinding, well it would be rewinding the film into the cartridge. Now it doesn't stop automatically, you would have to listen for a higher pitch sign to let you know that the film had been rewound all the way back into the cartridge. Now you can actually get a different back for the F3, what it's called now, MF6. There's an MF6 back for the F3 that you can fit, and it's just like it's got a little hump here with a part that comes down and makes contact with these terminals on the drive, and basically what that does is the film back inside as well as a contact that senses the advanced sprocket, and obviously as the film's rewinding it's turning the advanced sprocket, and when the film leaves that sprocket it stops spinning. That sends the signal to the drive and will stop it rewinding automatically then. That's a nice little optional you can get, and also it would leave the film leader outside the cartridge, which can be useful for some people. So other features of this drive, you've got some contacts on the front. This contact is for a magazine back. You've got a contact here for a external power supply, an AC/DC converter for giving you extended shooting, and you also got a remote terminal connection for controlling the camera from a distance with a remote switch. Other features of the drive, on the bottom you do have a tripod mounting socket, which you can see is very off balanced, so they do actually provide also as an option you can buy a base for the drive which will give you a central tripod socket, which I don't know why they did in the first place. Other features, so you've got the lights on the back and the battery check, the film advance. I'll just show you that actually working. So if I set that to say 4 frames, and then you can merrily fire away, just click it to single, and it will stop automatically when it reaches 0 and light up to let you know it's finished. So that's a nice feature to use, and you can just flick that back onto the normal operation, which is the orange dot. Just went by then. and that just lets you shoot continuously. So there you go, that's the MD-4. Makes it a very bulky unit, but it can be very useful, of course, having film advance and rewind. Just to point out as well, you can actually operate the camera's shutter, and it winds it on when you let go of the button. And you can also rewind manually at the end of the film if you wish. If you just press in the R1, you can then lift up the rewind crank and rewind manually. That's something else you can use. So there you go, that's the MD-4. Hope you enjoyed this other video on the F3, and look out for more videos on other Nikon equipment soon. Thanks for watching.